Only 24 students get into Penn LSM every year, and you want to know how to be one of those 24. And today we're going to be talking about everything Penn LSM, what it is, how to get in, how to not get in, maybe how to get rejected. I don't know. Maybe you guys are masochists. But before that, I'm Mo with the Fro, for those of you who don't know. YouTuber, billionaire, philanthropist. Wait, that's Iron Man. And I help people get into top colleges. I'm a senior at Penn in the Management and Technology program, and I've helped a number of people get into dual degrees at Penn in particular, but as well as just a number of top colleges. And if you're interested in working with me for advising, or you have questions about this video, you can message me at mustafadoesstuff@gmail.com, which you'll hear on the screen right now. And with that being said, let's jump right in. So Penn LSM is a program at Penn that is a dual degree program. So Penn has a number of dual degree programs which let you study 2 different degrees at once. It sounds amazing. 2 degrees for the price of 1. There's no tuition increase to get a second degree at Penn unless you take extra semesters, which most people don't. So essentially, it's a program that lets you study a life science and business at Wharton. Now, what is a life science? So Penn LSM defines it as these 5 majors: biology, chemistry, biophysics, biochemistry, and neuroscience. So these 5 majors are the life science side, and then you have Wharton. Wharton has a number of majors. Wharton is a business degree. You can study accounting, finance, like entrepreneurship. I mean, there's a ton of majors within Wharton, but ultimately the Wharton side doesn't matter as much, and we'll get into it in a bit. I mean, it matters, but what you choose for a major doesn't really matter. And the most common major tends to be on the Wharton side, finance, just because, well, Wharton is finance bros. But talking about the life science, so the goal of LSM is really to create students that are going to do groundbreaking medical / like innovative life science research, and people that are going to go create biotech startups or like create some Nobel Prize winning research and use it and diffuse it toward the entire world. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is that's not the case, and most students end up in healthcare consulting or like finance or like healthcare investment, or a number of different things down that road. And the reason being is that, well, it pays the most. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. You know, what is LSM? What does studying these majors mean? What does the program offer you? What is the program? So LSM, as we mentioned in the beginning of the video, is 24 student cohort program with these 2 degrees. So 1 business and then 1 in those 5 majors on the life sciences side that we mentioned. And those basically 24 students admits every year. Now, technically speaking, they actually sometimes admit over 24 students. The yield is not 100%, so they have to admit over so that their class size reaches 24. And sometimes they reach under 24, which also means that they have transfer admissions. LSM, unlike other programs at Penn, is a strict cutoff on 24. So basically, if they have over 24 students or 24 in a given year, they won't be accepting transfer admissions for that given year. Now, that being said, I believe in the past few years they have had extra spots, but I'm not 100% sure in your case that they'll have those extra spots or that they'll have those extra spots every year. Now, that being said, LSM is a program basically where you get this promise of having like a combined integrated program between these 2 majors, between business and between life sciences, so that you can create this innovative research that also impacts people. And that's the ultimate goal. But generally speaking, the program itself, while it does have perks, is not the main thing, or is not the main like place where you're going to spend your time at Penn. Generally, with these dual degree programs, even the more established ones and the ones that have been around for longer, like a la M&T, the Management and Technology program, generally speaking, you're going to find your groups within Penn, within Wharton, or within your life science side, the College of Arts and Sciences, and your research or something like that. You're going to find your friends there, and generally the program isn't that deep. Now, it does have a ton of benefits to it, don't get me wrong, but in terms of like your community, people generally have a ton of other friends outside the community. You can imagine also with only 24 admits that you might just not like that many people in your year. You might know them, but you might not be super close with them. You might be close with a few of them, but it's not that big a cohort. And the program doesn't really have that many things that it forces you to do. And what I mean by that is what LSM is really a couple of classes, the network, the alumni network, and of course your like internship funds and the people around you that you go to like functions for LSM functions, and like you have a shared working space. But aside from that, most of your time spent is going to be in either of the 2 schools, in Wharton or the college, or both. I mean, most of your time spent is going to be on classes and doing other things. So LSM has 2 required courses that you have to take. Well, three. But really, the first one is just a first year seminar. It's not super, I would say, eye-opening for most students generally. I mean, it's helpful to kind of get a base at Penn, but there are a number of, at Penn you take like 40 plus classes, especially for LSM, with such a high credit requirement to finish both these degrees. So you really it's one class out of like 45 that you're taking or so. And then you have your two classes that you take at the end, which is your like kind of senior project / design type thing, which every major has anyway. So while it is LSM specific, it's not really like a huge class that like is going to change your world. And it's not like there's like 30 LSM, or not 30, maybe that's a lot. Maybe it's not like there's like 5 LSM classes you're taking where you're going to spend so much time with the LSM cohort. So that's what it is on the class side. Now you might be asking on the extracurricular side, on the kind of like internship side, does it help with that? It does help. There's a network of people in LSM that you can reach out to if you want, research opportunities, or if you want to go to a specific firm or things like that. LSM has resources to help you do that. And one of the unique features of LSM, which is not present in I believe most other dual degree programs except Viper, which is the energy research program, is that you get basically 2 guaranteed fully funded years of research at LSM / internship. So basically LSM requires in your sophomore year and junior year that you do a research focused internship / just research, and that you do a business focused internship in your between your sophomore and junior years, and they'll fund you. So if the opportunities aren't funded, they have a fund that they can guarantee you they'll get paid. So you can do basically unpaid research and get paid for it. I believe it's a decent sum. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head what it is, but I believe it's a fairly decent sum to get paid for research for the summer. I want to say something like $10,000, but I don't quote me on it. But it's a fairly decent sum essentially to do research and to do an internship over the summers, in case that they're unpaid or they're underpaid. So that's a unique feature of LSM, and it's really like career oriented. And a lot of people, are interested in in particular, people doing the life sciences are interested in chemistry, biology, biophysics. Those types of people are interested in med school. And I think what happens with LSM is people get infected by the Wharton bug around them, and on the career side end up trying out this business side, trying out something like investment banking, or trying out something like healthcare consulting. You might imagine a company like Clearview or something like that. And then they end up in that field because it pays so much and you have great opportunities from Wharton. And that's really the next thing I wanted to talk about, the professional side, as we're getting into these internships. How does it prepare you professionally? What does it prepare you for in the future? And then we'll get into what LSM is looking for in their applicants. So with regard to what LSM prepares you for in the future, as I mentioned, a lot of students are interested in going into med school, going into LSM, and a number of them do. A number of them go straight into PhD, because you have that kind of research tilt of LSM that other programs don't have at Penn necessarily, although Viper has it. And then you have students going into that businessy side, which has been more common in recent years, and LSM is trying to combat that. And of course, you have the occasional student doing other things, like there's some biotech twist to LSM, or some healthcare innovative research. There are always going to be occasionally students that go the other way, but I'd say that you have students wanting to go to med school, students wanting to go PhD, and students wanting to go business as some of the more common things. And that really makes sense. Biochem lead really well into med school. Research, the fact that it's required by the program and kind of favored by the program leads well into med school, into PhD. And of course, business leads well into consulting, finance, these types of traditional business routes. But maybe with a healthcare twist, because you have that bio background, you can maybe look a little bit more at firms that deal with healthcare investing, healthcare consulting, things like that. Healthcare management is also another place you can go down with LSM, although to my knowledge, it's not as common. But it's a potential track you could articulate in your essays. And with the career tracks, medicine's well known as a career track, and it does help with getting into med schools. Doing this program, having that Wharton degree looks really interesting to med schools. A lot of doctors lack communication skills, and it's an undervalued trait in medicine. So I think a lot of med schools are interested in that. And PhDs, LSM students knock it out of the ballpark. I mean, top PhD programs, you consider Harvard and MIT and whatever, UCL or what's it called? Not UCLA. I mean, UCLA has great programs too, but you have a number of like good research institutions in California, like Caltech. People do PhDs at. I believe there's even one person doing like a dual PhD across schools with like crazy top colleges, but that was many years ago. So anyway, you have the standard PhD tracks, and LSM students tend to do well on those. And then you have the standard business tracks. So you might consider standard investment banking, or you might consider healthcare twist, as we mentioned. And those pay, those are less, I would say, known to students, especially students with more of like a research interest in high school. Those pay pretty decent salaries. You're looking at good six-figure salaries, and then you have high acceleration, meaning that as you go down in your career, you'll be making a lot more, into decent six figures. And then eventually, if you reach partner at your firm in investment banking, you make many, many millions of dollars, but that's well down the line. And that kind of pipeline kind of is what entices a lot of students with that Wharton degree. And they go to investment banking, they make a decent six-figure salary. Think something like 120 to 150, in their first year, maybe after bonuses 150 if they're at a great firm. And then, they go down they go down their career progression, and then they make a decent bit more into the six figures. Then their MD down the line, managing director at a firm, make somewhere like 600,000-700,000, and then keep going, and then you're a partner, and then you make 10 million plus or something crazy. And this is really the entice and the allure of investment banking for a lot of people. The other side of it is investment banking pipeline, 2 years investment banking, and then do something else afterward. Is a common pipeline you see, but it pays so well that students just go into it and think, why do I need to become a doctor, go to med school to make 200, 300,000 a year when I have investment banking that'll get me there? But like, I won't have to pay this extra money for school, and I'll be making money now, and it'll get me there in a few years. And of course, consulting also plays in the six-figure salaries at the best firms, and definitely is another lucrative track, although it doesn't have the same acceleration as investment banking, generally speaking, but still a great track. Now, LSM and how to get in. I've mentioned these job opportunities, and I've mentioned and alluded to it a bit, but LSM is kind of sick of students doing this more businessy track, and they really want to see more of this research innovative track, and students really wanting to go down that route rather than be really strong business. LSM even says on their website, you don't need to have business background to apply to LSM. And instead, what they really focus on is not necessarily business background, but business ambition. Of course, having some impact focus and impact in your high school extracurriculars and not pure research is helpful. But LSM is kind of, how do I say, after my friend got in, he was just like, I think they're just like sick of like people going to finance, and they saw my really strong research and they're like, nice. They saw my strong classes, my strong sciences, and they were like, nice. This is what we like to see. And they were really happy about it. So Wharton dual degree programs have a general sickness of kids just tending toward the Wharton side and are favoring students more on the other side, whatever that may be. So M&T, for example, management and technology, prefers students on the strong engineering side, and seeing some engineering prowess rather than pure business students who claim they want to study engineering. LSM is the same. They prefer to see students with strong research, strong science-based extracurriculars, and who want to create impact. And that want to create impact is that business side. And of course, having a nonprofit or having something where you have created impact is a great way to showcase that, you want to create impact in the future. If you say you want to create impact in the future, having some proof behind it is a fairly good reason. But that's really, I think, the trend where LSM is going toward. And of course, there are a number of ways you could want to have impact. You could want to be a doctor and have impact on your clients, your patients, and want to work with them in a way that makes them comfortable. You could articulate something, along the lines that like being at the doctor's office is one of the most uncomfortable experiences you could have. I want to create, environments and healthcare that are incredibly welcoming to patients and make the medical process as easy as possible. And you could think of some personal anecdote that maybe you experienced discomfort at a med school, not a med school, at a hospital or something along those lines, and, wanted to become a doctor because of that. So that's like one path you could go. You could argue, I want to do research, cutting edge research. I want to break the barrier of this specific disease. For example, I'm interested in particular in, pick disease X, and then, cardiomyopathy or something. And then say like, I want to work on research in this disease in particular. And I'm incredibly passionate about this disease. I'm incredibly passionate about it for XYZ reasons. I had this disease, or maybe, it was, I don't know, something that I like just really found like in my community or something like that. And then I want to create change with regard to that disease. So I want to do cutting edge research. Here's some of the research I've done in high school. And having research, having publications is a great way to get into LSM. And then, be sure you kind of know what you're talking about, of course, in your essay. Don't just like, fake it, I suppose. Don't just fake like, I have, so much knowledge about this disease. You don't need to fake it. Well, you don't like need to fake interest or feign interest in a disease or in a particular thing. But if you have that, tendency, you can say that, and then you can say I want to go PhD or in the future, or I want to work on healthcare management or something along those lines. Those are particular ways you could do it. I want to work on healthcare management to help the distribution, to help distribute medicine, like for this disease in particular, something like that. And then, you could consider a number of other ways to write the application, but that's generally what they want you to write. And even if you go to their application, and I want to take a look at their essay here for a second. If you go to their application here, they ask this question. The LSM program aims to provide students with a fundamental understanding of the life sciences and their management with an eye to identifying, advancing, and implementing innovations. What issues would you want to address using the understanding gained from such a program? Note that this essay should be distinct from your single degree essay. Now, I know you guys can read, but I really like reading out loud the prompts and really thinking about, it helps you really like take it in. And I think that here, what we're thinking about is they're asking an eye to identifying, advancing, and implementing innovations in particular. And that's the thing. They want to see innovations. They're sick of, I want to go into business and healthcare consulting. That's the point I'm trying to make here. They want to see, you want to advance innovations. Now, innovations don't necessarily have to be on the research side like some would think. Innovation doesn't have to be, I'm going to create a drug that's going to solve this problem. It can be. It can be if that's your particular passion. But what I really want to highlight here is there's this management portion. You could think of something like, I want to create a better management system in healthcare, but I want to have that healthcare understanding. Having a goal in mind is really the best way to go about these essays, I think, and having a clear goal. And it basically asks you, what issues would you want to address? It asks you for that clear goal. And then you probably want to end the essay by tying it up with, some benefits that LSM in particular provides you. Having that communicative education early on through the Wharton School, and having that ability to kind of learn through the Wharton School, like these business, there's a certain kind of business thing that goes on with almost like learning about business early, and like there's some soft skills that you can't really learn necessarily through theory, and being kind of in that environment and learning those soft skills early is a really great way to have them embedded into you early on, and as second nature to you. So you could articulate something like, learning those Wharton skills early on, something that I might be able to identify problems down the future, so that I could work on a healthcare startup, for example, or I want to go straight into healthcare management after college. I have this plan, although I don't know if that's super common, but I have this plan that business education will help me do it. Now, that being said, you want to pick like a specific goal, or a number of goals that you want to address. They don't have to be super, super specific, but generally, I'm interested in working on these issues. And you could pick any one of the issues I mentioned earlier. And that's a great way to write this essay. If you're looking for extracurriculars in high school to do, if you're watching this early in high school and you're interested, how can I get into LSM? How can I figure out a path to LSM from 10th grade, from 9th grade? There are a number of things I would, say are valuable. Research is a big one. And I think LSM really has that research focus nowadays. These life sciences, when you're talking about at the professional level, a lot of them do research. A lot of people rely on research to advance these fields. So it's very common to do research as your extracurricular, but you could consider some, project that you worked on. You could consider, for example, working at like a healthcare startup, a health tech startup, like an internship, something that you might found interesting. That could be something you could do. You could consider a number of things. I would say like classes, clubs are good, but you want to see something outside of the school that out of your pure interest you did. And to get research opportunities, you look at your nearby colleges, you email people, like professors, see if they have any areas, or you look at their areas of interest and you email them asking if they have anything available, if you can work in their lab, like you're a high school student passionate about XYZ, and then you can get research opportunities that way. So that's a common thing. Olympiad is a great way, if you are cracked enough for Olympiad, that is. Olympiad is a great way to get in. And there are a number of ways, but you might just consider like hard science type things, things along those lines. Um, Now, I did mention, and I did say earlier about kind of Wharton concentration, and I do want to get back to that. So, with the Wharton concentration being, I mentioned that it's not a big deal what you concentrate in on the Wharton side. And the truth of the matter is that Wharton concentration is only 4 credits that you have to take, 4 classes that you have to take, and the rest of classes in Wharton are pretty much like required mandatory courses. And then the way that college works is basically you have a number of requirements, just general college liberal arts requirements, and then you have your healthcare kind of sector, like you have your concentration, if you will, your major, and that's gonna be a good number of courses on the healthcare side, or on the life science side rather. So you're going to take a lot of chemistry courses, etc. But you're going to have to take some general college requirements, which aren't present in like engineering programs, for example, where there aren't as many general requirements. You're going to have to take things like history or something like that to fill those recs with just whatever. If that's what interests you, power to you. And if that's not what interests you, I'm sorry, but it's the price you have to pay for LSM. Now, when articulating how you're going to use the program, you can talk a bit about the Wharton side and the College of Arts and Sciences and what you plan to do with those 2 classes and the interdisciplinary nature of Penn. But really, you want to be talking about, the combination. I mean, you really want to be highlighting that interdisciplinary side, not either or. Wharton offers this, life sciences offers this, then why don't I just, give you a life sciences degree or a Wharton degree? Or why don't I give you an uncoordinated dual degree? Why do you need to have a specific, a degree from LSM? You really want to consider that community, that, it doesn't have to be community, but like that LSM mix and that unique thing, or those unique properties that LSM offers you. Now, LSM, like I said, only offers a few things. So you might consider the lounge area like a way to meet your friends and meet people with similar interests and upperclassmen. You might consider the alumni network to get research opportunities. You might consider the classes, even though they're not a lot, you could still talk about them. The faculty that are designated to help you, and just a few faculty designated to help LSM people, giving you a real strong career head start. There are a number of ways you could discuss that portion. But ultimately, what you're getting out of this program, I think, and the message I want to leave you guys with, is that it's a Wharton and college program, and there is integration. There is, but it's not like a total life-changing experience all the time. Sometimes students find their niche within LSM, just like you could find your niche within, one class you take could change your life. It's true, that can happen. But it's not like you have so many opportunities to change your life through programs like these, or at least through this program in particular. This one's a little bit, I would say, lighter on the integrative stuff. But it's a great opportunity if you're interested in med school, you're interested in PhD, or particularly, healthcare management, or like healthcare consulting, healthcare investing. It's one of the best programs for that. And PhD, you might say, why is it great for PhD? It looks good to have that, I guess. I mean, not that it looks good, but, it helps you in a few ways having that business background to get into PhD. I think LSM students are just smart too. So like taking a lot of classes just makes you smart. Of course, PhDs care more about your research than they do about the business background, but it's still a differentiating factor. And if you want to sell things down the line, if your goal is to try and like build or like, do research and then sell it, it could be good for that. Although I would say most people stray away from that path just because it takes so long. But there are students with that kind of interest. But if you're going down med, there are a lot of different things you could do. And having that management, you could do like managing doctors and things like that. Those skills are really great. So like I said, it's a great program. I highly recommend Penn's dual degree programs. I think if not just for the dual degree itself, taking all those classes and really learning a lot, Penn's programs are generally pretty good. But Wharton is phenomenal. Of course, life sciences here is pretty good, but Wharton is really phenomenal. And I recommend it overall, but, don't get disillusioned thinking that LSM is going to change your life, like the program itself is going to change your life. And look at it, from the perspective of, do I want to attend Wharton? Do I want to attend the College of Arts and Sciences? Do I want to get these degrees? And it's, I think, a pretty unique opportunity that not a lot of other colleges have this kind of business twist. A lot of them have econ, but business is really specific and really good at a few potential things. And if you're interested in learning about Wharton or interested in learning about, LSM, you can always email me at my email or watch my other video that I did on Wharton and how to get in. You can email me. I do advising, and I've helped a number of students get into top programs at Penn. my email is mustafadoesstuff@gmail.com. Should be up on the screen now. And I hope this was helpful. And if you liked it, feel free to reach out. I do consulting, I do advising services, and helped a number of students get into dual degree at Penn. And just a number of students work on their essays and get into Penn General, Wharton General, or into top colleges in general. One thing I forgot to mention is that LSM students also have some clout on campus, if that's something you're interested in. They are like second to M&T students, I would say. The engineering business program, the oldest dual degree at Penn, in terms of clout. Being in Wharton gives you clout automatically, but doing something more technical gives you clout. And, if that's something you're interested in, it's something that it has. Another thing I forgot to mention is that you can do sub-majors within the major, so computational biology within biology, for example. Although the college, I think, is getting rid of comp bio and changing it or something like that. You'll have to look into that. It's a very new thing happening. But there are sub-majors you can do within each category, so you're not just relegated to these majors. So if you appreciated this video, thanks.